Okay, guys, I just want to elaborate a little bit more on the 11 police calls. Are they runaway reports or dysfunction? And this is for the Celeste Rivas case. And there she is again. Let me give you a picture of her. And there, that's David on the right, or here's a better one here. Celeste Rivas is on the right. David is on the left. And here is one with just Celeste right here. So I see a lot of stuff going on right now that's stating that they're starting with the 11 police calls to the house, and then they run into the narrative, and people feed into the narrative. But the 11 police calls, there's no context with that either. So with that said, when TMZ dropped the headline that deputies have been called to Celeste Rivas Hernandez's home 11 times in about a year, the impression was immediate. 11 calls? That sounds like constant fights, constant chaos, constant police intervention. To the casual reader, it paints a picture of a deadly, dysfunctional household. And everybody is running on this, very surface, running on what clearly seen on the surface. But let's slow down and look deeper, because the reality is far more complex and the truth matters here. People magazine confirmed at least 3 of those calls were official missing person reports: February 15th, March 19th, and April 5th of 2024. These weren't about fights or disorder in the home. They were about Celeste being gone, reported as a runaway. In fact, even TMZ itself reported that on March 19th, deputies were called 3 different times in a single day, including one call to a liquor store where Celeste was reportedly caught on surveillance video running. That's not a domestic blow-up. That's a runaway pattern. There's also an April 2024 call that happened about 30 minutes after her family had already filed a missing person report. That's not dysfunction inside the home. That's deputies trying to locate a child who had disappeared again. And then there's ABC7 Los Angeles. They say they obtained the sheriff's call log. What did they find? Many of the entries were coded as FU, follow-ups. If you ever worked with law enforcement or around these systems, you know what that means. Once a child is reported missing, deputies don't just take the report and walk away. They follow up, sometimes multiple times, until the report is resolved. These FU follow-up entries aren't necessarily fresh 911 emergencies. They're part of the runaway process. So the question becomes, are these calls evidence of a dysfunctional home, or are they evidence of a child in crisis, repeatedly running away and a system struggling to keep up with her movement? That distinction matters because one narrative, the dysfunctional family narrative, is neat, easy, and convenient. It shifts attention away from David. It blames Celeste. It blames her parents. It suggests that this was all chaos inside the home. But the other narrative, the runaway cycle, raises a much harder question. Who or what was she running towards? Was there someone waiting for her? Was she being groomed? Was she being enticed by forces outside the home? This is where media framing matters. If you just say 11 police calls, people picture a broken home. But when you dig into the details, what you actually see is something different. A vulnerable teenager, a pattern of disappearances, repeated attempts to locate her, and a system that may not have been equipped to intervene before it was too late. So let me leave you with these few questions so you guys could think about it objectively. When you hear 11 police calls, do you automatically think of family dysfunction? And I think a lot of people do, and I think the media knows that. Or, since we've been covering this and really been a little bit more objective, or do you consider the possibility of a child being reported missing again and again? Does framing it as a dysfunction minimize the possibility that Celeste wasn't simply running away from something, but running towards someone who may have been exploiting her? And most importantly, how does this framing affect justice? If we let the narrative stay focused on family chaos, do we risk ignoring the outside influences that could have led to her tragic death? And that's the story we have to keep ourselves focused on. But I would love your thoughts on this. As always, guys, stay safe.